What if the history books you've trusted for years were hiding a secret so explosive it could shatter everything we know about one of the world's most legendary empires? Imagine uncovering evidence that reveals not just conquests and glory, but a hidden web of vanishings, replacements, and ancient migrations that rewrite the past. Today we're peeling back the layers of the Aztec Empire through groundbreaking DNA discoveries that have experts questioning reality itself. Stick around, because by the end, you'll see why this isn't just history. It's a thriller buried in our genes. Let's start by setting the stage. Who were the Aztecs really? We all know the basics. A powerful civilization that rose in central Mexico, building towering pyramids and a vast empire before the Spanish arrived in 1519. But what if their story was as straightforward as migration, settlement, and rule? When did this empire truly begin to reshape the land? And why did entire populations seem to disappear in the process? These questions haunted historians for decades, until modern science stepped in with a tool more powerful than any shovel: ancient DNA analysis. Picture this. You're an archaeologist sifting through the dusty ruins of an ancient city in Mexico's valley. You've unearthed pottery shards, intricate jewelry, perhaps even gleaming gold artifacts. These items whisper tales of daily life, rituals, and trade. But how do they reveal the full truth about the people who created them? That's where DNA comes in, a genetic time machine that unlocks secrets locked away for over 500 years. Scientists, armed with cutting-edge lab techniques, have extracted DNA from bones and teeth buried in sites like Tlatelolco and Xaltocan. What they found? Not the tidy origin story of a single nomadic tribe wandering from a mythical homeland called Aztlan around 1300 CE, settling on an island in Lake Texcoco and forging Tenochtitlan into a marvel of engineering. Instead, the genes paint a picture of chaos, conquest, and change on a scale that's both awe-inspiring and unsettling. The breakthrough moment arrived when researchers from institutions like the University of Texas analyzed mitochondrial DNA, that special genetic material passed down through mothers, acting like a family tree etched in our cells. Where did these samples come from? Burial sites in Tlatelolco, the bustling twin city to Tenochtitlan. When were they dated? To the period just before and after the Aztec rise to power in the 1400s. Why is this DNA so crucial? It traces maternal lineages, showing how populations moved, mixed, or vanished. And how did scientists pull this off? By using advanced methods to amplify degraded DNA from ancient bones, overcoming the challenges of tropical decay that had stumped earlier efforts. But here's the hook that will keep you glued. The DNA didn't match the expected narrative. Instead of gradual blending, it showed sharp breaks, genetic signatures wiped out and replaced. This isn't speculation, it's hard data forcing a rewrite of history. As we dive deeper, you'll wonder, was the Aztec Empire built on more than military might? Could it involve something far more calculated? Now let's turn to one of the most chilling chapters, the vanishing act at Xaltocan. Who lived there before the Aztecs? The Otomi people, a sophisticated group with their own language, vibrant culture, and established society. They'd thrived in this lakeside city in the Valley of Mexico for centuries, trading goods, constructing homes, and fostering art. What happened when the Aztecs, hungry for expansion, set their sights on the region around the early 1400s? History books offered comforting theories: peaceful assimilation through marriage, or voluntary migration to safer lands. But why would an entire people just fade away? And how could we know for sure? Enter the DNA detectives. In a 2013 study, researchers examined mitochondrial DNA from 25 skeletons unearthed at Xaltocan. The pre-conquest bones showed one clear genetic profile, markers typical of the Otomi and local groups. Post-conquest, those markers were gone, replaced by entirely new ones matching populations from distant areas, likely allied with the Aztecs. This wasn't slow intermingling, it was a demographic overhaul. Imagine waking up in your hometown to find everyone replaced by strangers overnight. That's the scale we're talking about. But hold on, what does this imply? Did violence play a role, or was it strategic resettlement? We'll explore that soon, but first consider, if this happened in one city, could it be a pattern across the empire? This genetic battlefield extends beyond Xaltecan. As more sites were tested, from central Mexico's valleys to outlying regions, a disturbing trend emerged. Original populations with unique DNA fingerprints were systematically overwritten by those from the Aztec core. Who orchestrated this? The Aztec rulers, expanding their domain from the 1420s onward. What was the mechanism? Not just warfare, but possibly forced relocations and settlements of loyal groups. When did these shifts peak? During the empire's height in the late 1400s, as tribute systems and alliances grew. Where were the hotspots? Key conquered areas like Xaltecan and others in the basin of Mexico. Why pursue such changes? To solidify control, prevent rebellions, and ensure loyalty, turning diverse territories into a unified powerhouse. The implications hit hard. Studies show this genetic imperialism altered the region's DNA landscape profoundly. It's not about total erasure. Some lineages persisted, but the dominance shifted dramatically. Think of it like a puzzle where pieces are forcibly swapped out. Researchers describe it as demographic replacement, a polite term for upheavals that displaced thousands. How massive was this? To change genetics on this level required moving people across rugged terrains, hundreds of miles, with supplies, guards, and planning rivaling modern logistics. But why stop at theory? The DNA evidence from multiple studies confirms it. Patterns of replacement that challenge the romanticized view of Aztec expansion as mere cultural blending. Now for the Great Migration mystery that adds another layer of intrigue. The Aztecs claimed origins in Aztlan, a legendary northern homeland. Dismissed as myth? Not anymore. Genetic markers like Y chromosome haplogroups, tracking paternal lines, trace back to diverse sources far beyond central Mexico, even linking to groups in the southwestern United States. Who carried these genes? Waves of migrants, not a single tribe. What do haplogroups like QM3 and others reveal? Enormous diversity, suggesting the Aztecs were a melting pot of coalitions. When did these movements happen? Over centuries, accelerating in the 1200s, 1400s. Where from? Arid northern regions, crossing deserts and mountains. Why such variety? It points to alliances formed through conquest or necessity, not peaceful unions. But here's the twist that will make you lean in. This diversity coincides with the disappearance of local genes elsewhere. How? Rapid, large-scale transfers, perhaps organized convoys of families resettled to conquered lands. The logistics boggle the mind, coordinating food, water, and security for masses. This wasn't random, it was engineered. As you ponder this, ask yourself, were the Aztecs visionaries or something more ruthless? Delving into the dark side, the DNA whispers of costs too high to ignore. What replaced those vanished lineages? Genes from Aztec heartlands and allies consistently across sites. Who suffered? Indigenous groups like the Otomi, whose markers fade post-conquest. When? In the wake of battles and takeovers from 1428 onward, under rulers like Itzcoatl. Where? Throughout the empire's 200,000 square kilometers. Why? To crush resistance and impose uniformity. How? Possibly through relocation, absorption into armies, or worse, systematic elimination, though evidence is indirect, like missing Y chromosome lines in modern descendants. This isn't exaggeration. Genetic absences suggest catastrophes beyond typical warfare. Entire family trees erased from the record. It's unsettling, forcing us to confront. Was this ethnic cleansing avant la lettre? The term genetic colonization fits, evoking comparisons to other empires' harsh tactics. But don't turn away yet. The science gets even more fascinating. The genetic evidence speaks volumes through specifics. Mitochondrial DNA links Aztecs to northern populations, implying epic journeys. Y chromosome data shows explosive diversity, far beyond a lone group's expansion. Haplogroups appear suddenly during imperial peaks, signaling influxes. How do scientists know? By comparing ancient and modern samples, using stats to map changes. This reveals not gradual evolution, but abrupt reorganizations, demographic engineering at its core. Rewriting history means ditching old narratives. No more simple conquests. Instead, masterful population control. Who benefits from this rethink? Historians now debating sophistication versus brutality, What changes? Views on pre-Columbian America showing Aztecs as innovators in logistics and control. When did awareness dawn? With 2010's studies accelerating. Where? Labs worldwide analyzing Mesoamerican remains. Why reevaluate? DNA demands it, exposing hidden upheavals. How? By integrating genetics with archaeology, revealing lost cultures and languages vanishing alongside genes. Broader implications ripple out. This mirrors global patterns: Assyrians relocating peoples, Romans reshaping provinces. But Aztecs may have excelled at it. Modern echoes? Discussions on migration and power. Even the Spanish conquest in 1521 might have been eased by prior displacements, weakening local ties. Intrigued? The scientific revolution behind this is just as thrilling. Advances in ancient DNA extraction from degraded bones in humid climates made it possible. Who pioneered? Teams using amplification tech. What breakthroughs? Reading tiny fragments even from soil or teeth. When? Post-2000s innovations. Where? Sites once deemed impossible. Why revolutionary? It tracks diets, relations, migrations without written records. How? AI crunches data, spotting patterns humans miss. Experts are buzzing. Dr. Deborah Bolnick and others call for holistic views, blending DNA with digs. Skeptics note biases in preservation, but consistency wins out. This sparks studies on Maya, Inca, hinting replacement wasn't Aztec exclusive. Mysteries linger. Where did displaced go? How fast the changes? Resistance stories? Future tech, like environmental DNA, promises answers, tracking movements globally. In the end, these DNA revelations expose the Aztec Empire's rise as a saga of ambition and loss. Genetic shifts unveil a calculated reshaping of lives, urging us to reflect on power's price. What surprises you most about this genetic detective tale? Share below. Your thoughts could spark the next discovery. The story of the Aztec Empire isn't T just carved in stone, it's S written in our DNA. These discoveries force us to question what we've always believed about history, power, and identity. Were the Aztecs master builders of civilization, or architects of something far more complex and unsettling? As science continues to peel back the genetic layers of the past, one truth becomes clear. History is never finished. It evolves with every new discovery. What do you think these DNA findings reveal about our shared human story? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's hidden truths.